In 2021-22 period, I think lots of creator tools companies were coming out. Around the time Topmate came out.
Yes.
But many of them didn't work out. So what do you think worked out in favor of Topmate?
So there is an expert who guides about mushroom farming. We have a car consultant who assists you while buying a car.
That means you have gone beyond tech. Let's say I'm the seeker and you are the expert. Let's say you work at Google. I want to get referred at Google. So how does it work from the product side?
I'm sure you must have heard about that 1-9-90 rule. That 1% people create, 9% engage, and 90% are usually just watching on these platforms.
Half of the people are really loving your creativity, and half of the people, actually I saw some of the tweets, they literally want your brand to die. How do you feel about it as a founder? What is it that you look for when you hire for your product team at Topmate? All of you must have heard about Topmate at least somewhere. Like in my case, I saw lots of people talking about Topmate on LinkedIn, and I was very curious. What is this company? What is this product? Who are the founders? What's their journey like? And today we have Ankit from Topmate with me, and we will be discussing all things Topmate, product management, growth, and AI. In 2021-22 period, I think lots of creator tools companies were coming out. Around the time Topmate came out.
Yes.
But many of them didn't work out. But Topmate is still around, and I think you guys are scaling, going by the recent campaigns, which we will get to in a bit. So what do you think worked out in favor of Topmate? Like what was the core insight that you identified, which you could actually, you could use it to scale the business?
Yes. So one thing is that we are not a creator economy tool, right? So when you talk about creators, you have a very different persona in mind that comes to you. So creator is someone who is present on Instagram, TikTok, right? That was the time when people used to associate creators with these platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is more like a social media economy that we have in mind. So someone like Raj Shamani, someone like Samirana, someone like, right, these kind of creators. But we focused always on the knowledge economy side, where there is some kind of a knowledge transfer is required when the conversation is going to happen, right? So in a typical creator economy, what happens is that you usually consume their content and you appreciate that content or something like that, but you don't have a reason to talk to someone. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to knowledge economy, people who are creators in the knowledge economy space, when they create content, they basically share their ideas or their experience, and basis that a lot of people would want to talk to them because they can relate to the story of what they are portraying in their content. So for example, a product manager in Google who is a content creator would usually talk about how they crack Google, what is happening in FANG companies, right? What are some of the things that anyone can do to come from a tier 2 or tier 3 college and get a tier 1 job, something like that, right? So a lot of people associate with that, and these are the people who keep getting these requests to connect. That I want to learn from you, I want to get 30 minutes of you to get my resume validated or my idea validated or my thought process validated. So that was one of the major things that we focus on knowledge economy, essentially. We like to call it as a knowledge economy, and all these users that you see, we don't call them experts also. So expert is a very heavy term. We call them professionals, value professionals, where some kind of a value exchange is required. So that was one of the major differentiator that we had. So most of the creator economic companies that you see were focused on Instagram as a platform, YouTube as a platform, but we were always focused on LinkedIn creators or LinkedIn influencers, so to say.
And I think LinkedIn over the years has become a lot more than just a platform to look for jobs. I want to spend some time talking about personal brand that you talked about. Not everyone is up for it. Have you faced issues where if the core pitch revolves around these experts building personal brands, have you faced any kind of pushback? Because many people are actually not very interested in writing about themselves or so regularly on a platform like LinkedIn.
Yes. So I would say that we are able to kind of create a wave around it. In fact, that we pushed a lot of people to start building their personal brand. So whenever you create something new, right? Whenever you are building something new, you will face a lot of pushback when it comes to these kind of things. But initially, we were very clear that we will only, how to say, the Topmate will be best utilized by professionals who are building their personal brand. It's not the other way around. So we were not even focusing on someone who is not active, but at the same time they have a 15-year experience. That's a different business. That is something that comes at a later stage, maybe in the journey of a company.
But what would you pitch to them? Because initially you are
We don't
saying
pitch
it
them
was
to
not even
anything.
monetizable in the beginning.
Yeah. So we don't pitch them anything, essentially. So we don't go to them directly from our side. If they get exposed to Topmate and they come back to us and say that, okay, I'm not getting any bookings because I'm not active, then our thing was that you should try to be more active. But at the same time, to make this also possible in certain way, what we did was we created certain features which were like this. So for example, a webinar, a digital product, right? So these are the things which are easily creatable from someone's side, and they have an opportunity to reach to the masses directly. They don't have to go for a one-on-one call, because committing someone for a one-on-one call from the demand side is also difficult for everyone if they don't have a social presence or something. But offering something very simple, offering a group call or offering a digital product is much more easier. But at the same time, the first primary requirement of that phase of Topmate was to have your own distribution, essentially. Whatever way you want to do it, we kept creating certain features in the product, something like an email marketing, WhatsApp marketing, obviously. But the onus was always on the professional to do it.
Okay. So they had to, you build some tools to help them build distribution, but it was mostly
Their
up
side.
to them.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So we created this wave of putting this in your LinkedIn bio, right? So a lot of people might not be creating content, but they're active on LinkedIn. So this is also something that happens. So that is the second layer. I'm sure you must have heard about that 1-9-90 rule, that 1% people create, 9% engage, and 90% are usually just watching on these platforms. All of these, they just consuming. They don't like, they don't engage, and only 1% are actually creating. So 1% is creating, that's the best part. But there are 9% people who are engaging. So they get visits on their profile, right? So we were able to create that wave of putting your Topmate profile as a part of LinkedIn bio. That's where people start getting bookings also. Because if you are active, if you are engaging with others' content and not even creating content, you will definitely get visits on your profile. And that translates to visits on your Topmate page, which essentially leads to booking.
Okay. Can you talk a little about the business model here? How does it work when these creators or the experts, they get bookings? How does the platform work? How does the revenue model work in a business like this?
Yeah, so we have a very simple model. We only earn when they earn. So there is no fixed monthly subscription or anything like that from the creator side, from the supply side. Whenever there's a paid transaction that happens, we take a commission out of it depending on the tier that you are on. So there are different tiers in the product depending on all the features that we have exposed in your dashboard, in the expert's dashboard. So that is one way. Now we are also focusing on bringing demand for them, which is more like a marketplace model. So that's where we take a fixed commission on every transaction, essentially. But in both cases, if you are offering your services for free, there are no charges that we take from you.
Okay, got it. So your incentives are basically aligned with these experts making money.
So because what we realize that a lot of experts, a lot of professionals, right? They don't know what to charge initially, first of all. And at the same time, they are also not very, they're shy away from charging from the day one. So a lot of people start gradually. They keep it for free. They basically understand the interest from their community, and that's how they keep increasing the prices.
Yeah.
So in our case, most of the experts have continuously increased their prices because their social currency, their social profile is getting validated. Plus at the same time, they are becoming more and more confident about doing this. So we make it very simple for them. And that's the reason.
That makes sense. But you also brought up a marketplace. Why are you moving in that direction now?
Yeah. So when it comes to knowledge economy, what we realized that the real problem was always the supply side, because they were not able to control the things. And most of the platforms that we saw previously working in this space or trying to do something were all focusing primarily on the demand side. But we realized that this industry is a supply constrained market.
Okay.
So supply needs to be enabled first because they need control, they need that customization, and they need the authority or the capability to drive what they want to offer, how much amount that they want to keep, what are the charges that they want to keep, when they want to offer. They want to have that customization control. So our idea was to capture the supply first, to make it for the supply, so that they become open about it. They are okay in offering time, and this is something that you see today, that a lot of people compare Topmate with as the only fans of techies. That
Do
this
you
is,
like that positioning?
yeah, it's amazing. It is very simple to understand, in my opinion. It is a very direct positioning, and a lot of people, I think, use it, and they take pride in that sense, right? Because so it's not that okay, it's an OnlyFans, it's a concept, right? That you offer your time, but keeping everything in your control. That was the concept behind Topmate. So now we have a humongous supply from every part of the world, from every domain. So
Roughly, how many people do we have?
so we have about 250,000 to 300,000 professionals who are registered to use Topmate.
Okay, and what's the split like between India versus outside?
So in India, so that would be about 70-30% right now.
70 India, 30 outside.
30%, yes, in terms of numbers, and this is a humongous amount of supply that we have from every domain. So you can, and we have the most, innovative offerings that you can think of. So there is an expert who teaches or who guides about mushroom farming. We have a car consultant who assists you while buying a car. You can take a consultation with them.
That means you have gone beyond tech.
Yes. We started with tech. It's been 3.5 years since we are doing this, and gradually we kept expanding to multiple domains. So study abroad, mental health, product, data, obviously.
When you talked about the supply on Topmate, how do you ensure that the creators stay with you? Is there any kind of lock-in that you have introduced? Because when we think about other platforms like Ola or Urban Company, many of these platforms have done something or the other to keep many of their gig workers with them. Is there something that you have figured out that works for you?
I think companies like Ola, companies like Urban Company, they are at a very, very high scale, right? So they can promise a lot of different things to their supply side, essentially.
What are the kind of things that they promise?
First of all is the business. I think the kind of scale that they have, they can commit a certain scale of business to someone.
Because they are a marketplace,
yes,
and
they're
marketplaces
very huge.
are very effective now.
Yes, and they're very huge also. So they have incoming traffic, which is because of which they will be able to control this. And something that you see with Swiggy, something that you can see with Amazon also, that they are very stringent on the service providers, right? In terms of refunds, in terms of returns and everything. So they are first of all at that scale. And I think in background also, they would have done a lot of things. So something that we learned that we don't have a lock-in. We don't have, because we kept it very open for everyone. The kind of supply that we have, it's not a gig worker actually. They are professionals, they are working professionals. And the whole purpose of them using Topmate was control, was that customization, was that capability to manage their own time at their own pace. And that is what we also strive for. So we don't have any lock-in or something like that. What we do is that we try to understand their problem as much as possible, in the sense that what kind of problems they might be facing, what kind of things that they would need that will help them to effectively function very nicely in this setup. So for example, we recently introduced this invoicing as a concept. Now after every booking, both parties will get an invoice. So this becomes easier for them, because now they can ask the seeker or someone who is booking a call with them that they can reimburse the amount also from their corporation, from their company, right? So this is a very small thing. But if they are doing it separately somewhere else, they won't be able to manage it completely. So some of the problems that we saw that, okay, I need some forms for the taxation, right? And the kind of features that I have clients across the world, right? I'm sitting in India, but I have clients in US, I have clients in Europe, I have someone in Southeast Asia. I need to collect payments from them. I need to be able to sell my services in their local currency, right? So these are some of the things that help us to keep the supply intact, or basically retain on the platform, by virtue of helping them as much as possible to increase their earnings and to make their life or function very, very easier from our side.
I want to change the gears and talk about some of the fun campaigns from Topmate that I have come across. One was related to finding your mate.
Yes.
And it was all over the place on social media just a few weeks back. Can you tell me about the origin of the campaign, and second, how did it really work for you?
I think first of all, I'm very proud of the team that I have when it comes to growth side or marketing side. I think they are the ones who keep coming up with these amazing and quirky campaigns, right? So we have been, we are known in the industry for these kind of things, and it's all because of the team. So our billboard campaign, these kind of small things that we do is something that is a part of it. So this campaign was when we switched our focus on the marketplace side. So the way we are building marketplace is that it's not just a simple, say, discovery platform where you come and you search for product mentors. What we want to do is we want to create a very good match between the seeker and the provider, depending on their context, depending on the requirements, depending on their journey. And that's the reason why we created this AI recommendation engine, right? So our value prop is that we will match you with the best person possible. So this is the origination of the campaign, that I will help you to identify how date worthy you are. Essentially, it is more like a campaign that touches the everyone in India, or for that matter in the world, right? So dating as a concept is something which is very casual, and everyone is known to this. Everyone is playful around this, right? You don't need to because you're not always looking for upskilling, but you can always be casual about dating. This is a very casual concept. So we thought of kind of using it in some manner, but at the same time we wanted to keep the theme around matching, right? Because that's our value proposition that we are working on. So that's how the campaign came into picture.
But did you not anticipate any backlash from something like this? Because it must be risky for a knowledge economy company, to go ahead and talk about dating as part of the campaign. Was there no risk involved?
There's always a risk involved in whatever you do. I think as an entrepreneur, I think this is something that's the best learning that I have, is that there's a risk involved in everything. You have to learn from them, essentially. So we have in the past also received backlash on certain things that we do. So we have been able to improve on them. We understand now in some sense that what kind of messaging we need to put out, right? What kind of things we need to build, what is the way in which we portray this as a solution? How do we bring that traffic to basically directing them towards the right Topmate, essentially, right? So we obviously face backlash in past before on certain campaigns, but I think as a team we are not shying from trying out different things, but at the same time being cautious about whatever we have learned before. How can we implement this in the current campaign so that it doesn't backfire to us? And that's the reason why this campaign became a viral sensation, right? A lot of news publications covered this campaign because of that learnings that we were able to infuse in this campaign.
Maybe half of the people are really, really loving your creativity, and half of the people, actually, I saw some of the tweets, they literally want your brand to die the next day. How do you think, how do you feel about it as a founder? And how did you become comfortable over time? I'm asking you this because many founders would want to do something like this, but they just lack courage. They are just very worried about their brand, the brand losing appeal.
So I think one thing that I've learned about social media, I think this is a lot of people call it a curse. I call it a blessing, that you can delete everything from social media and people will forget about it, essentially. So that is a very, casual way of saying this, obviously, but I think that's the beauty of social media. Usually people do tend to forget about these things. So the percentage of people that you're talking about who wants your brand to die, they will never be more than 2-3% in reality. It cannot happen that it will be a 50-50. So they might hate your current execution. They might not like the way you are doing things right now, right? In a certain section, but they won't want your brand to die. People are not that bad, first of all. Even on social media, so many people are not bad.
Okay.
So there would be only 2-3% cases who would do this or who would have this, right? But one thing that we have learned as a team is that we look at those comments also very objectively. We try to remove emotions as much as possible when we are reading those comments, right? Because sometimes those comments or those bashing also have value in it. So the way things should be, right? The way it might be an early sign of the direction that we are taking. So to all the founders who think that, okay, this is something that they lack courage in doing so, I think if you continuously keep doing these things without learning from your past mistakes, that's the recipe for a disaster. Not one campaign, two campaign. That's not a recipe for the disaster. You will learn from it, and you need to come back in a much better format. And this is something that has happened with us also because of this philosophy that we equally give weightage to those negative comments as well. Whenever we get them, right? I try to respond to them. My team try to respond to them personally on those channels. So I've started becoming more and more active on Twitter because of this reason. I never used to understand Twitter as a platform, but because of this, I started being more active.
That's where all the fights happen.
Yeah, that's where the fun is, in my opinion, because you get to put your point of view also. And what I've seen specifically with Twitter is that sometimes most of the times, right, it is I think 99% of the time it is the way you are telling things and the way they are perceiving things. That's the biggest gap. It is the misinformation or the miscommunication that lead to these things. It's not the intention most of the times.
Which brings me to the second campaign, which is related to the evolution of the brand itself. I think until recently, Topmate was known for the mentorship, one-on-one sessions that the seekers could do with the experts. But now I started noticing one-on-one referrals, like, request referral at this company, that company. That's becoming more of a core pitch. And it was launched with a campaign which got the attention of the entire media. I actually read this money control article, which was about forget Zepto, Blinkit, and now you can use this new startup service to get humans delivered in 10 minutes.
Nice.
I would love to know more about that campaign, and also why are you, moving to this referral model? What's the core insight here?
Yes. So that campaign was all about like accessibility. So we have always been about accessibility as a company. So the way we have built things in the past also, we wanted to make good people accessible to the world. We realized that the interaction and the engagement is already happening on platforms like LinkedIn, YouTube. It's just that the next step is broken, right? So we were always about bridging that gap and making more people, good experts, good professionals, more and more accessible to their community and to the larger community, obviously.
But delivering humans in 10 minutes, is it just a marketing stunt to ride on the wave of quick commerce, or is it something that you truly believe can be helpful?
No, it is truly very helpful thing, and this is something that we initially ran as a campaign. Actually, it's an experiment. So this marketing campaign is probably came very late before the feature was already tried out. So we created this campaign the feature where experts you can talk to them live through the calling, right? So you can just directly place a call to them, and you both will be connected, and you can ask any questions, any doubt that you have. Right. So what we realized in that case, so when we launched this for 4 hours on a particular day between 6 to 10, and it became a very good thing for people. A lot of people tried it out at that point of time.
So you're saying we could talk to the experts in real time.
Yes.
We could call them on phone.
Yes, exactly.
And how do you ensure that the experts are available in that?
We have taken a buy-in from them before.
Okay.
So they already mentioned that they will be available between 6 to 10. So this is a dashboard thing, or this is a product thing that we've already built in the backend. So anyone who agrees to this, we only put their name on front, where they can be reached out by anyone who is landing on their page, depending on them, whatever their requirement is, right? So that is one aspect of it. Now, this is very important because what I realized that sometimes, a lot of times, you need information when you have that in mind. Right?
Yes.
Whenever there is a need. Otherwise, you tend to forget. So when you have a need, so something like a college student who has an upcoming interview, and then they suddenly get stuck at that, okay, I need some guidance around, tell me about yourself as a question in interview.
Correct.
Can I talk to someone? And they would probably drop a message to someone and then they forget about it, right? But we wanted to give a place to all of these people who are looking for guidance, that you can come and you can talk to them directly. Obviously, there is a way that you can schedule a meeting if you have a larger agenda in mind, if you have a different agenda in mind. So this was just a product feature that we tried. So we truly believe that you can give that guidance in 10 minutes. The first level of, like I mentioned, actionable insights or tactics is something that you can easily give within 10-15 minutes to someone, because usually you see most of the interviews that happens, right? they can be constrained in 10-15 minutes in reality, right? You usually talk to someone and you very quickly are able
First
to make
few minutes we know whether we want to hire this person or not.
Exactly. So this way you will be able to. So this is what we truly believe. And then obviously there is a quick commerce wave that is going on. This is more about the marketing, because marketing is, in my opinion, is one thing which has to have a very familiarity in mind, but at the same time it has to be innovative. And both goes with the customer experience or the user experience as well. That you need to have a balance between what is familiar plus it has an innovation in it. That's where people will be able to very quickly relate to it. So this is something, because quick commerce is in news, right? Everyone talks about it. Everyone understands what quick commerce means, what quick delivery of something means.
Yeah.
So that was more about that we will be able to reach out to more and more people because of this, and that's the reason why all of these news publications, Money Control, Z News, all of them they captured this news essentially.
Did that give you a lot of new traffic and new signups?
Yes, so we always keep tracking these things, and it led to a lot of jump in the traffic, both on the landing page, essentially on the Topmate page, and both and on the profiles of the experts also, which becomes a very good point for us as a validation, right? So people are visiting their profiles, people are booking sessions with them, so it translates to everything. I think the second thing that you asked about was referral, right? So it also goes in that theme of accessibility. Plus, at the same time, what I felt was that in India, most of the people, they don't have access to the network, right? They lack opportunity, first of all. They might be very good, but most of the people, I think majority of the people lack the opportunity. We have this capability to provide them with that opportunity, right? So referral is something that a lot of people are looking out for. Jobs is the biggest problem statement that any professional goes through in India.
Correct.
But promising job to someone is very difficult because it has a lot of different factors, right? But most of the things that you can promise and you should help them with is the accessibility to particular opportunity, and that's where we are focusing on. So referral is that way of us giving them that opportunity.
So how does it work currently? Let's say I'm the seeker and you are the expert. Let's say you work at Google and I want to get referred at Google. So how does it work from the product side?
Yeah. So there are two ways. So we have taken a buy-in from the experts, whether they want to do it or not. So accordingly, they have created their services. So someone has created a one-on-one call. Someone has created a query service, right? And there are questions in that while you are booking that service. So as a seeker, when you come, either you book a one-on-one call with them. Now on that call, the expert will be able to identify whether you are referable at this point of time or not. Okay. Right? So it's not like that, okay, they are just referring for money. Like the narrative that a lot of people are creating on social media. We actually don't charge for these things. Even the experts don't charge for these things. But
okay, they don't charge for the referral.
Yeah. They don't charge for the referral because
they only charge for the one-on-one call.
Yeah, in case if they want to do it in future. So even these referral related one-on-one calls, referral related queries are absolutely free. They don't charge because they also understand that, okay, they cannot refer someone directly. Right? It's not about that. It's about the way you can judge someone for an interview within 10-15 minutes. You just need 10-15 minutes to identify whether I can refer this person or not. Whether this person has the capability at the current state, whether he or she can be referred to my or that particular job ID. So that was the case. From the seeker side, what we have also done is that we have created some products around that. You can put a job ID from LinkedIn, LinkedIn jobs. You can put that URL and we will suggest the best experts who can help you with this. And you can in one click send a message to each and every one of them with your, say, reason of doing this, why you are looking for referral, why you would be the best person to get a job, right? You can add your cover letter, you can add your resume review, all of those things. And then the expert will take a call, essentially. In some cases, they do refer. In some cases, they say that, okay, probably you need to work on these things before I refer to you. So it helps in both ways. First of all, the good quality people or the good quality seekers who are not getting that opportunity has already gotten that opportunity and they are getting referred. The second level who needs some work, they have a very clarity in mind that, okay, I need to work on these things and then I will be able to get referred to this company.
Okay. So it would be helpful if you could share with them what is it that you look for when you hire for your product team at Topmate. Like in your particular case, it must be even more interesting because you have such amazing product talent on the platform. So you already have exposure to what great looks like.
Yes.
So what do you really look for?
I think I specifically look for someone who is who have a very problem-solving mindset. I think for me, what the way I define product management is that you need to be able to solve the user's problem. That's it. For me, identifying the right problem that the user is facing and how are you solving it. That's it. For me, this is what the product management is. I think there are a lot of nuances around it that people talk about in the sense that they should be very good in prioritization. They should be very good in structuring thoughts and everything.
Yeah,
right?
and UX, analytics, all those things
All
are
the-
details.
Yeah. So they should be familiar with the UI UX. They should be familiar with tech. They should be familiar with all those things. But I think if the mindset is towards problem solving, they will be able to do all of this automatically. If you are fixated on a one problem statement that I have to solve this, I know how to solve it, or I will figure out a way to solve this. That kind of a confidence. So you automatically will do it, right? So if you launch something to solve a problem, you automatically will measure it because you have done it to solve that particular problem.
Yeah.
So you will crave for that answer that whether this particular feature or this particular change that I made in the product is actually benefiting or not.
That's a very good point.
So it automatically, I think, comes if you have a very problem-oriented mind. So usually I look for that what kind of problem orientation you have when it comes to picking certain things, because prioritization will also happen accordingly. Right.
Correct.
So whenever we face a problem, we prioritize it automatically in our life also. So it automatically happens. A lot of these things will automatically happen, in my opinion. But obviously they should be very data centric. They should not be, but some kind of a mix of subjectivity is also fine in some cases. But you have to be very clear about it. You have to be and once you have that purpose in your mind, then everything is clear. So you can say that, okay, I'm building this feature, I'm building this, or I'm bringing this change in the product with the thought that I don't know what will happen. Mm-hmm. If you are very clear about it, and I'm just taking a bet on it, which is also fine for me. If you are very clear about it that, okay, I have no prior experience in this, I have no prior data set to prove this or this hypothesis, I want to try it out right now, I'm okay with that. So similarly, if you keep asking, most of the time, I think 95-97% of the time, you will be able to relate it to something before.
Yeah.
If you keep asking that. Only 2-3% cases would be shot in the dark, which is absolutely okay. And it should be the case also for a startup.
Do you have any advice for how to build that problem-oriented mindset?
I think asking for why is the most important thing. Continuously, you have to remind yourself, because as humans, I think we tend to very quickly go into the solution, right? We start putting our mind in solving the solution essentially. So whatever solution that we have proposed, we keep overanalyzing it. But I think the most important piece is that how did you start it? What was the thought process which led for you to think about this feature essentially, right? That why is something that keeps getting lost. So in my opinion, you have to continuously remind yourself. There is no way to do it, in my opinion, because this is a very personal thing. But keep reminding yourself why. Why I'm doing this, and whether the things that I'm doing, whatever outcome that I will get from this, is going to answer that why or not. Mm-hmm. So if you are very clear about it, then you will make accordingly good changes in the product or whatever feature that you're building.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. What we have noticed at Airtribe, an easier way of building such kind of a mindset for people would be just to be curious about how the world works. Yes. So if somebody is thinking about becoming a product manager or getting into a product role one day, the easiest way to start would be to play with the apps that they use. For example, if somebody is using, let's say, Zomato to get food delivered, they should also be thinking about what is the app that the delivery guy is using. What is the app that the restaurant that is taking care of the food is using. If they are just curious about that and go and speak with them, that gets them more in the problem space and understand what is the problem that the product wanted to solve and how it went about solving it. Instead of being obsessed with the solution, like you said, many people make the mistake of obsessing about the solution and not thinking enough about what is the problem, who the problem is for,
yes,
and how the team behind it actually went about prioritizing it for them.
Absolutely.
So with that, we come to the end of this episode of the Airtribe podcast. Hope you liked it. I will see you in the next one.